Hi everyone! So as usual, it's time to find out what I'm going to be reading next, but first I want to show you the books that I have bought recently. Of course, I've just had payday, so I had to take a trip to Waterstones, as usual, and I've bought a few books. Two of them are non-fiction, and one of them is fiction. So let's do the fiction one first. Okay, so you may remember that I reviewed Sophie Kinseller's book, My Not So Perfect Life, the other week, and I mentioned how she had another book out in hardback. Well, it turns out it's actually available in paperback, and I completely missed it being published, and I just happened to walk by the fiction section for her name and found it there. So I got her most recent book, Surprise Me, about a couple who decide to surprise each other with these little treats and such, trips away and such, to celebrate their life together. They've been together for like 10 odd years, and in the process, secrets get revealed and such, and how it affects their lives. So yeah, sounds like an interesting premise. So that's Sophie Kinseller's Surprise Me. It's going into the fiction jar. And the other two are actually by the same author. Because what it is, it's literary criticism, which is a section I don't tend to look at, but I just happened to be walking by it because the audiobooks in not Otticus, Waterstones, yeah, Waterstones overtook Otticus, never mind, in Cheltenham, the audiobooks are right by the literary criticism, and a book just caught my eye as I was walking past, and I picked it up and I started reading it. I really got into it, and then I saw there was a sequel to it as well. So the first book, the one I picked up, is called Is Heathcliff a Murderer? It's by John Sutherland, and basically he takes apart classic books and asks questions about them and kind of breaks them down. So on the back it says, like, is Oliver Twist dreaming? Why does Dracula come from England? Does Becky kill Joss in Vanity Fair? How does Frankenstein make his monsters? And of course, is Heathcliff really a murderer? And he basically breaks them apart, and I found it really interesting. He also had another book called Can Jane Eyre Be Happy, which is a sequel, and the other questions he asked: how does Magwitch swim to shore with his great iron on his leg? Where does Fanny Hill keep her contraceptives? Does Clarissa Dalloway have an invisible taxi? And of course, can Jane Eyre really be happy? I just found these books really interesting. Apparently he's got a third one out as well, which I found in another shop, and it's called I think it's called Who is Dracula's Father? Something like that. But it was in hardback, so I think it must have been a more recent publication. But in order, Is Heathcliff a Murderer is first, and Can Jane Eyre Be Happy is a second. So I'd like to read them. I'll put them in non-fiction, because obviously it's literary criticism, it's not a fiction book series. But those two are going to be going into my non-fiction jar, and I'm really excited to read these. I think they're going to be great. But anyway, it's time to find out what book I'm going to be reading next, and of course, in order to find out, I need to go to the Fiction Jar Randomness. So in here are the fiction books in my book collection I either want to read or reread, so I'm just going to give it a shake, and then choose one at random. Okay, here we go. Ooh, let's go for this one. It's stuck between my fingers. Okay, so the book I'm going to be reading next is, it's a favourite. It's David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. David Copperfield has lived in my heart since I was young. It was actually since I saw the BBC drama that was in the late 90s. Because I was about 12 or something by then. So I was really expanding my mind to other books and such, and Charles Dickens kind of bloomed in front of me, as it were, and I absolutely adored the BBC drama around that time, and that's what really led me down the path of David Copperfield and Charles Dickens, and how amazing they are. So I'm really excited to reread David Copperfield. It's actually been, like, seriously well over a decade since I last read it. I honestly think that's the case. Maybe longer. My God. Yeah, it might actually be. I think I might have been in my mid-20, no, no, I think it was like I was probably about 20, I think, the last time I read it. Late teens, at early 20s maybe. So yeah, so a long time. Um yeah, so I'm really excited to be reading David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, and I'll let you guys know what I think when I've read it. Alright guys, bye.